I'm going to hold mine upside down because I want the inside to be right side up when I open it, okay? But I'm going to show kind of off to this side, since this is upside down, what this is going to look like. So yesterday, we learned how to cross multiply and solve, right? So we had a variable somewhere, and we had 3 numbers, and our goal was to find the missing value, the x, okay? So we drew an x, right, to connect the opposite numerators and denominators. 4 and x are connected, so we wrote an equation that said 4x is equal to, and then 3 and 6 were connected, so we multiplied those, right? Cross, multiply, so we have 4x is equal to 18. Okay? Then we solved this one-step equation. So x is equal to 18 divided by 4, which is, can somebody help me out? 18 divided by 4. 4.5, 4.5. Okay? So that's what we talked about yesterday. We are setting up a proportion, or we're cross-multiplying a proportion and solving for x. Today, our goal is to take word problems and set up those proportions. And this is something that I remember from when I was your age. Like, I will always remember this proportion. And I use it all of the time when situations come up. Okay? If I were you, I would write this off to the side or above or below your foldables, since your foldables are upside down. It's called this. It's a proportion, but we assign some words and things to different, and numbers to different parts of the proportion. Is over of equals percent over 100. Is over of equals percent over 100. We can also say part over whole equals percent over 100. Part over whole equals percent over 100. So there are 4 pieces to this proportion. We always know this one right here. This one's never going to change. If they give us a percent in our word problem, the percent is always going to go here. If they give us an is or a part, that's going to go as our numerator here. If they give us an of or a whole, that's going to go as our denominator. In every single case, we're going to have one of these 4 things missing, and we're going to have to use cross multiplication to solve. Okay? So this is taking what we learned yesterday, the solving piece, and now we're going to write these according to some word problems. Okay? So I'm actually going to start over here on the right-hand side with the upside down of or whole and is or part. Okay? Actually, I'm just going to open the whole thing up. We're just going to go through each of these. Okay? All right. So problem number 1. Everyone find this problem. It says if 12 out of 30 students in a class are girls. Okay? All right. So which number did we say is always consistent? Which number did we say is always easily filled in? Anthony? Part and whole. Okay, so you can easily look at this and tell me the part and the whole, right? 12 out of 30. So guess what? We're going to fill that in right there. You guys are one step ahead of me. So I could do is or of. So if I see is and of in my problem, I could put those. If I clearly see a part and a whole in my problem, like this case, I can put those. So 12 out of 30. That's pretty clearly 12 is the part, 30 is the whole. What number always goes over here on the bottom? Is over of equals percent over 100. Now, if we read our word problem, it says, to the nearest percent, what percent of the class is girls? So what number are we missing in this proportion? The percent. It says what percent. Okay? So that's where we're going to put our variable. Okay? So the proportion is part over whole, or is over of, equals percent over 100. Is over of, or part over whole, equals percent over 100. So we're going to fill in what we know and then solve for what we don't. Fill in what we know, solve for what we don't. Does anybody have any questions how I got 12 over 30 and x over 100? Okay? 12 over 30 is our part to whole, 12 out of 30 students. X is what we don't know, which is what they're asking for, which is the percent, and 100 always goes there. That's the easy one to fill in. So now we're going to cross multiply and solve. We're going to connect the opposite numerators and denominators, and we're going to multiply. What is 30 times x? How do we write that?
30x.
What is 12 times 100? Right? We can use that adding zeros rule. Then we can draw our line. And what are we going to do to get x by itself?
30, or we're going to subtract. No, I know it's by 30.
Divide by 30. Divide by 30. What is 1,200 or 1,200 divided by 30? Now, our question asks for a percent. So what do we need to label this number 40 as? Percent. Good. So, if 12 out of 30 students in a class are girls, to the nearest percent, what percent of the class is girls? 40%. Okay? All right, down here at the bottom, this is just talking again about what we always put. I just want you to write where the 100 always goes. Okay. So this one we solve for the percent. This one's just talking about the 100. All right. Let's come over here. A soccer team won 92% of 120 games played. How many games is that? Okay, let's start with the easy ones. What can we always put on the bottom right-hand side? 100. What goes above 100? The percent. Do we have the percent?
Yes.
Yes. So what are we going to put above 100? Good. So is over of, or part over whole. So one of those we have. One of them we're looking for. Okay?
At the bottom.
120 games played. And they won 92%. That's pretty darn good. Where do you think that 120 is going to go? Top or bottom?
Bottom, because we're trying to find
That's the
out.
total number of games they played. Would you agree that that is the whole?
Yes.
That's the total number of games they played. So that is our whole. So what are we going to put on top?
X.
Yeah, we're trying to find it. So part is what we're looking for. Whole is total of 120 games. 92% over 100. Okay? So now we're going to cross multiply and solve. How do we write 100 times x?
120x.
100 times x. 100x. And then I need to do 120 times 92. We agree? 11,040 like this. Okay. How do I solve for x? Raise your hand when you know what 11,040 divided by 100 is. Carmen. 110.4. Which seems kind of silly. I'm guessing they either won 110 games or 111. Because you can't really win 110.4 games.
That could be true.
But then wouldn't it be 0.5?
I mean, if you rounded it.
I don't know.
But this is soccer. So
If you were to
But-
round it, then it would only.
Overall, does that number, let's just say it's 110. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They played a total of 120 games. They won 92%. That's a lot. So they won 110 out of 120. Okay? All right. So we'll say they won 110.4 games. We'll just leave it like that. All right. At Phoenix, 321 students ride the bus to school. If this number is 80% of school enrolled, then how many students are enrolled at Phoenix? Okay, so again, we've got part over whole, or is over of, equals percent over 100. Somebody give me one number I'm going to fill in and where. Saray,
321.
where is it going to go?
On the left on the bottom. I mean, I don't know.
That's okay, you're right on the left. Think about it. So this one's kind of tricky. 321 students ride the bus.
That's out of. So
How
on the
many
bottom of the
students are enrolled? So which one's going to be the total? How many are enrolled or how many ride the bus?
How many read the-
How many ride the bus?
Okay, so 321 is going to go where?
on the bottom.
No, 321 is, no,
Out of.
it goes on the top. 321 goes on the top. The number of students enrolled is the total. That's what we don't know. Okay? So what's going to go on the bottom? X. Okay? So 321 ride the bus. That's the part. The whole is how many students total. That's what we don't know. All right. So I picked the hardest one. Somebody give me the two easy numbers to fill in. Anthony? 80 on the top because it's the percent, and 100 on the bottom because it always goes on the bottom because percent is out of 100. Okay? The other thing you can pay attention to are the words is and of, but we don't really have those words here. Okay? But if you look back up at this problem, it says of 120 students, and we put 120 on the bottom, so is over of. How many games is that here? Okay? So if you're struggling to place these in the right spot over here, look for those is or of words, which we don't have in this problem. So we were just having to really use our brains either way. Okay, we're going to cross multiply. What should my equation look like? 80x is equal to 32,100. And then I'm going to solve. Many of you are already done solving. So what is x equal to?
101.25.
It's okay, you weren't here yesterday.
No, I don't want to.
Be patient. $401.25. Again, can we have 0.25 students? No. So we either have 401 or 402 students.
It'd be 400.
Okay?
Can you go to the bathroom?
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be practicing solving proportions through cross multiplication and setting them up on a big ideas assignment. So you may start getting out your computers.
This was not necessary with how much you wrote. I wrote 2 questions and it got me the answer.
What?
Still with the